I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead end. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, I woke up feeling like it might be a good day to get it done. That's right. Oh, the stadium is just like my second house. Now I'm two-tone talking, they can't shut my mouth. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, 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 yeah. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two-Tone Talk by God Pod right here today, episode 117 on Thursday. Not normally a day that we do a podcast episode. It's normally Monday and Friday, but as you might can tell, we are in the process of moving houses, and tomorrow is big moving day, so not able to do Friday this week, so we're doing Thursday. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's been a pretty scary football season so far, as you can tell. It might look a little bare back here because this room is being completely taken apart to have stuff moved, but we are able to do the Two-Tone Talk podcast today. Everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to click the like button so you can help me get into that algorithm. Good to see you or talk to you today on Two-Tone Talk, and as the title says, it is time for some Tennessee Titans positivity today. You know, we've been very negative on this podcast a lot this season, and with good reason. I mean, the Titans are 1-6. They are absolutely one of the worst teams in the NFL. And there's been a whole lot of doom and gloom around here. So today, we are going to take the approach of positivity on this Halloween day. We are going to take the approach of the power of sheer positivity here today is what we're going to do. Now, I will get one negative out of the way first. The Tennessee Titans have chosen, Brian Callahan has chosen to not fire Colt Anderson as the special teams coach. And that's a decision that I feel like might come back to bite him. I stand by what I said on Monday. I do not think it's impossible that Brian Callahan could be fired at the end of the season if things don't turn around quick. And not firing Colt Anderson, as I said on Monday, that's one of the things that we got kind of irritated at Vrabel for, was his undying loyalty to bad coaches. And I don't know if you guys watched Colt Anderson talk to the media today, but it left a lot to be desired. It left a lot. What he had to say today in response to the performance that his unit put on Sunday against Detroit was flat out, it left a lot to be desired. And I'm sure if you're Brian Callahan, you probably wanted this guy to come out and say something that was at least logical and made sense. And what we got from Colt Anderson today was not good. So just something to get a little negative out of the way first. But positive. We're being positive here. So many Titans fans, when Will Levis was playing so poorly, they said, well, if we'll just put Mason Rudolph in. If we'll just put Mason Rudolph in, Mason Rudolph is going to take us to the promised land. Well, I stand by, based on what we've seen, Mason Rudolph probably is a better quarterback than Will Levis at this point in the game, but with Mason Rudolph, you get a backup quarterback. We saw it against Buffalo. We saw it against Detroit. Mason Rudolph's a backup quarterback, and the ceiling for this team with Rudolph is about this high. Now, the good news is, now we've seen it. Now, we all wondered what this offense would look like with Mason Rudolph. We all wondered, could this team be significantly better with Mason Rudolph at quarterback? The answer is clearly no. And so now, I can't speak for everyone, but I personally, I'm ready to get Will Levis back in there. Not that I think he's a franchise quarterback. Not that I think he's the man. But at least there's a reason to tune in with Will Levis as quarterback, just to see what he does, just to see how he does. I know what I'm going to get with Mason Rudolph. I don't know what's going to happen from one play to the next with Will Levis. So at least there's a little bit of, I have a pulse when Will Levis is in there. I've seen what I need to see from Mason Rudolph. He confirmed what I already knew about him. And that is that he is a better quarterback than Will Levis, but he's a backup quarterback. Get Levis back in there. Don't do what the Colts have done. Don't bench your young quarterback just to do it. I don't know what the Colts logic is. Don't bench the guy just to do it. Put him back in there for better or for worse. And let's just see what happens. Now, I don't think the Titans are about to go to the playoffs, go on a run, but at least with Will Levis, there's a reason to tune in and care, just to see how he does. So that's some positivity, is that I think Will Levis will be back in the lineup on Sunday against the Patriots. You want to know another reason for positivity today? Another reason for positivity is that the Titans are finally playing a bad team. The Titans, that 2-week stretch that we just went through was horrible. Buffalo and Detroit. I'm going to talk to you about how good those teams are in a second when we do the 32-1 power rankings. But needless to say, Buffalo and Detroit are both among the best teams in the NFL, and the Titans had to play them both on the road. That's about as tough as it's going to get for the Titans this season. To me, that is as ugly as it can possibly get. And it's behind us now. It's over now. Okay? Listen. It was tough. Buffalo was tough. Detroit was tough. But it's over. Now we're getting ready to play a team on Sunday that is much more on our level. The New England Patriots, okay? This is Gerard Mayo, the head coach of the Patriots. He said it earlier this week. The Titans and the Patriots are kind of in the same boat. Just hadn't been able to put it together this year. First-time head coach, young quarterback. This is a team that's more our speed that we're getting ready to play on Sunday, okay? And so, deep breath. The worst part of the Titans' schedule is behind them. I'm not saying they don't have tough games ahead. Houston's going to be tough. Washington's going to be tough. But the worst is behind us. At Buffalo, at Detroit, it's over now. We knew they were going to lose those games. We knew they were going to lose them pretty soundly, and they lost them, okay? Now we can just collect ourselves, reset, put Levis back in there to see what he does. We've traded a couple guys, might trade a few more by next week. Let's just reset. I also will say this. I'm not going to get too far into this because I don't want to get ridiculous, but if you are somebody who is out there and you are the eternal optimist, okay? If you are the eternal optimist and you just can't help but be positive, and you don't want to talk about tanking, you don't want to talk about the draft, you don't want to talk about Shedeur Sanders, you don't want to talk about Cam Ward. Let's say you are the eternal optimist and you want to find hope for this team this season. I've even got something to say to you today. The AFC, as has been established in the chat today, outside of the top few teams, the AFC ain't really good. Okay, so if you want to have a pulse, if you want to have some semblance of hope that the Titans, if they can start playing better, that's the key to all of this. Listen, the 6 and 7 seed, now they're not winning the AFC South, but the 6 and 7 seed in the AFC right now is the Chargers and the Broncos. I don't believe in either one of those teams. And guess what? The Titans still got to play the Chargers. The Titans still got to play the Colts and the Jags twice. If they get better, if the Titans start clicking and playing better, all right? Hey, maybe you have a reason to care. That's just for the people that want to be an optimist. That's just for the people that are they're too embarrassed to say it, you know? Those fans that are too embarrassed to say, man, I'm still kind of hoping that we'll turn this thing around and start winning some games. Hey, you know what? We're being positive today. We're bringing Titans positivity to YouTube and to this podcast. That's for you. The optimist who doesn't want to think about tanking, you don't want to look to the draft. Guess what? The AFC's bad. There's a lot of terrible teams. There has never been this many teams at this point in the season with 2 wins or less. Okay? So, hey, what if Will Levis, after sitting on the bench for a couple of weeks, what if he gets back in there and he's feeling a little mojo? Okay? Hey, who knows? You want another reason for positivity? There are areas of this Titans team that are getting better. I know after you lose 52-14, it's hard to even say that. But the offensive line outside of right tackle, we are not including the right tackle position in this. But Latham, mostly been good. Skoronski, contrary to what you might think, Skoronski, been pretty good. Lloyd Cushenberry has his moments, but overall, acceptable center. Dylan Radins, come on, guys playing well. The offensive line has gotten better. Okay, outside of right tackle. Right tackle's a liability, but the other 4 guys have gotten better. Tony Pollard has been a great running back for the Titans. I know, Derrick Henry, how do you fill his shoes? You don't. But Tony Pollard's done a darn good job for this team. All right? And what have we said time and time again? Tennessee Titans don't have any leadership on the roster. They got a leadership problem. There's nobody stepping up to be a leader. Well, you know what? I don't know if you saw what Brian Callahan said yesterday, But he said on Tuesday morning in the wee hours of the morning, Calvin Ridley was out there catching balls on the machine into the wee hours of the night. You know what? Good. And Brian Callahan took a video of it and showed the entire team. Good. Somebody. Calvin finally broke out on Sunday against the Lions, and now he's trying to set an example. At least somebody is. When asked who the leaders were on this team, somebody said Daniel Brunskill, a backup center? We got to do better than that. All due respect to Daniel Brunskill. I know he's a veteran in this league, but we got to have some guys stepping up. We got to have some guys stepping up in the locker room. First-time head coach, trying to establish a culture, got to step up. Positivity. The Titans are playing a team more on their level this Sunday. They're trying to lock in. Our young, crazy, whatever quarterback is coming back to the lineup. He might throw 5 interceptions in the first quarter, but at least there'll be a reason to watch. And yes, the Titans, it was a humiliating loss on Sunday to the Lions. But the number one culprit is special teams. Now, I don't think the Titans would have won that game anyway, but the reason they put up 52 points is because the Lions offense kept getting the ball inside the 20. Figure out how to cover punts. Figure out how to cover kickoffs. The night is always darkest before the dawn, everybody. The night is always darkest before the dawn. It's been pretty dark these last 2 weeks. I'm going to be honest with you. 3 weeks, because that Colts loss was bad too. It's been dark, but you know what? The Titans have a very winnable game in front of them on Sunday at home against the New England Patriots. I think they can win. I think they can win this game, and I'm going to give you my prediction here in a little bit. But first, very quickly, because I've got another segment I want to do here today, we're doing the 32-1 NFL Power Rankings just based on how I view it. Let's get into it. And again, this is going to be a little shorter version of 32-1. We're going to be a little quicker about it because I've got another segment that I want to do here. But in the bottom three at number 32, to no one's surprise, is the Carolina Panthers. Horrible. One of the worst teams you'll ever see. Nothing more needs to be said that we haven't already said before. Number 31, I hated to do it, but for right now, I'm going to have to go with the Titans. It's been a terrible 2 weeks. You let a team put up 52 on you. Your special teams is the worst in the league. They don't have a pulse right now. We're being positive. We believe they can turn it around, right? But for right now, number 31. At number 30, rounding out the bottom three, you know what? I went with the Saints. The Saints are horrible. The Saints are absolutely atrocious. No quarterback to be found. I know they'll probably get Derek Carr back at some point, but just a bad team top to bottom. Let's get into the 20s right here. The 20s. Number 29, the Raiders. Horrible. All of these teams on the screen right here, from 21 to 29, just terrible. Raiders are horrible. Number 28, the Giants. Horrible. Daniel Jones, not the guy. Terrible. Terrible football team. Number 27, the Jets. Biggest disappointment in the NFL. The Jets are the biggest disappointment in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, what are you doing? Fountain of youth, go and embrace the darkness. What is this guy doing? Jets are an embarrassment. Number 26, the Patriots. The Patriots beat the Jets, so I moved the Patriots up a couple spots. Hey, nobody thought they were going to be. This was supposed to be a get-right game for the Jets, and the Patriots beat them. Hey, good job, Patriots. Number 25, the Colts. Lost, benched their young quarterback for a guy that is 40 years old. Horrible. Number 24, the Jags. The Jags actually move up the list in spite of losing just because all of these other teams are so bad. I still think if the Jags played any of these teams below them, they would beat them. And the Jags are terrible. Number 23, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are considerably better with Tua. They played a frisky Arizona team and lost, but I still think the Dolphins would beat any of these teams below them. And the Dolphins are not good. But I do think the Dolphins are going to win some games in the second half of the season. Number 22, the Browns. Browns, they move up the list with Jameis. They're a better team. They are a better team with Jameis Winston. They're going to win some games. They're going to win some games with Jameis. Number 21, the Dallas Cowboys. In any other circumstance, the Cowboys would be lower because they look bad. But they're still better than these other teams because there are so many horrible teams in the NFL right now. But the Cowboys are bad. Don't let them be in this high on the list make you think they're not bad, because they are. All of those teams listed right there, hideous. Let's go to the left side of the screen where things get a little better. Number 20, the Seahawks. The Seahawks took one on the chin. They're just kind of up and down. I think the Seahawks are good enough to beat these teams that are below them on the list, but they're not good enough to beat the Bills. They're not good enough to beat the Lions. They're not good enough to beat some of these other teams. The Seahawks just are a middle-of-the-pack team. Number 19, the Chargers. Chargers, Justin Herbert very quietly has started playing very well. Jim Harbaugh's a good coach. They're establishing a culture. They don't have any weapons on the outside, but the Chargers, they're staying steady. All right, number 18, the Bengals. Bengals are figuring it out, but not really because they got beat by the Eagles. They were figuring it out, but the Bengals just have too many. Joe Burrow's playing well. Joe Burrow's playing well, but they don't have a run game. Their offensive line is bad. Their defense is bad. So I don't know. But the Bengals, I keep waiting on them to go on a run, but it's not happening. Number 17, the Bucks. Bucks hung in there with no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. The reason the Bucks are this low on the list is because of the injuries. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin being out. Chris Godwin's not coming back. That's tough. That's tough. Number 16, the Broncos. Hey, listen, I'm not a big believer in the Broncos. I don't think they have a good roster. I think they're just beating bad teams. But you know what? Bo Nix is getting better and better. We talk about Caleb Williams. We talk about Jaden Daniels. We talk about these young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks who are improving. Bo Nix is one of them. Bo Nix is playing well. He's playing well. And the Broncos are 5-3. Come on. 15, the Cardinals. Arizona is currently at the top of the NFC West. Kyler Murray is dangerous. He's a dangerous player. He can kill you with his legs. He can kill you with his arms. They've got good weapons there. It feels like they're picking up a little momentum, and that division feels kind of wide open right now. Everybody thought the 49ers were going to lock it down, but that division's wide open. Cardinals are looking good. Number 14, the Rams. The Rams got off to a bad start. The injury bug caught them. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua, but they're back now. Stafford's playing at a high level. The Rams have put together a couple of wins. I think you're going to see the Rams continue to pick up steam. Even though they're 3-4, how could they be this high on the list if they're 3-4? But I think the Rams are better than their record suggests. They've just been hurt. Number 13, the Bears. The Bears were within a miracle of getting a huge win over the Commanders, but the miracle happens and they lose. I think Caleb's getting better. I think the Bears are a very respectable team. They've got a good defense whenever they're not playing to the crowd while a play is going on. The Bears are good. It's just Caleb's getting better. I think they're headed in the right direction. Number 12, the Vikings. Some people would say this is still too high for the Vikings, but the Vikings are 5-2. Sam Darnold, I still think, is just fine. They've got the weapons. They just brought in a new left tackle from Jacksonville via trade. So I think the Vikings are still fine. They're still fine. Got a good defense. Number 11, the Falcons. Falcons really took a strong hold on that NFC South, beating the Bucks. The Bucks, I think, are going to have a tough time. Panthers and Saints are horrible. So the Falcons are really in control of that division at 5-3. Their defense, they probably need to make some trades to help out their defense, but Kirk Cousins is playing well. Their offense looks good. The defense is just struggling right now. Let's get into the top 10. Number 10, the 49ers. I put the 49ers back into the top 10. I'm still waiting on them to get going. Obviously, no Brandon Ayuk. They haven't had McCaffrey yet, but they did what they needed to do against Dallas. Let's see if they build on it. I still have to believe the 49ers can turn it around and start winning some games here at number 9. Let's go with the Texans. And the reason I have the Texans this low on the list, even though they're 6-2, is because of injuries. Stephon Diggs tore his ACL. He's done for the year. Nico Collins has been banged up. I think injuries are catching up with them. Unlike other teams in the AFC, they haven't really made a huge trade yet to bring in a new guy to help them out in Stephon Diggs' place. So that's the only reason they're not any higher than they are. Number 8, the Eagles. Listen, I think everybody was too quick to give up on the Eagles. Yes, they looked bad for a period of time, but AJ was hurt. Devontae Smith was hurt. Now they're back, and the Eagles look good. I know the Commanders are the talk of that division, but the Eagles, I mean, they're coming along. We're going to talk about them a little more here in a second with this other segment that I'm going to do. All right, number 7, the Steelers. Mike Tomlin has just done a masterful job. Russell Wilson starting to look a little more like Russell Wilson from Seattle. Like, just a huge surprise team for me. I thought the Steelers would be a 7-10, 8-9 type team, but I mean, they're at the top of that division. Sole possession of first place in the AFC North. Let's keep this thing going with number 6, the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is that guy. What a great rookie year he's having. The Commanders, they've just got some swagger about them right now. Sole possession of first place in the NFC East. I think the Eagles will give them a run for their money, but the Commanders have all of the momentum right now. Let's get into the top 5 with the Ravens. I understand the Ravens lost, but they got a new receiver coming to town that they got from Carolina. That's going to be huge for them. I think this felt fluky. I mean, Cleveland with Jameis Winston in his first start, and everybody likes Jameis. I think the Ravens are going to be just fine. I know they're going to have to battle it out with the Steelers in that division, but I think the Ravens are going to be just fine. I'm not jumping ship on them just based on this one loss. Number 4, the Chiefs. They just keep on winning. They're 7-0. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It makes no sense. They're not even playing that well, but they're winning, and the rest of their schedule feels really easy. Number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love got hurt. He's dealt with injuries. He's also dealt with turnovers. But the Packers, they're just getting better and better. They've got such a good roster. Matt LaFleur, one of the great coaches in the NFL, in my opinion. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are just rolling. Josh Allen should be an MVP candidate, maybe even an MVP frontrunner. He's been great. The Bills look great. And probably even better than I expected. And at number 1, it's the Detroit Lions. My only worry about the Lions is have they peaked too early? Because they're just killing everybody right now. And like I said, if you're looking for Titans positivity, their last 2 opponents on the road, in my opinion, are the 2 best teams in the NFL. So there you go. Another segment that I want to do here today, as you can see here, whoops, that's me, and that's the chat. All right, I've done this before. I do this on Tuesdays with tier ranking quarterbacks. And today, I'm going to, at the halfway point of the season, I am going to tier rank every team in the NFL based on one of these 5 tiers. The top one is Super Bowl contenders. The second one is playoff team. The third one is mid. That's a 7-9 win team that just misses the playoffs. Then we've got what teams I think will have a top 10 draft pick. Obviously, there will be 5 teams in that category. And then what teams I think will have a top 5 draft pick. There will obviously be 5 teams in that category. So it is a live tier ranking at the halfway point of the season for every NFL team here at the halfway point, the way I see it. And we are going by division, starting with the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. Everybody thought they were the front runner in the NFC. Right now, I think the 49ers are a playoff team. Right now, I can't say they are a Super Bowl contender, but I do think the 49ers are a playoff team. I can't put them any higher than that because they've just not lived up to what they were supposed to be so far. But for right now, I still think the 49ers are a playoff team. The Arizona Cardinals, I wrestled with this one because they are at the top of the division right now. They've looked good the last couple of weeks. I'm still going to put them mid right now. Mid being 7-9 win team that just maybe misses the playoffs. I don't know if I've seen enough that I'd be willing to put the Cardinals in the playoffs right now. So I'm going to put them into the mid category. Sorry. I like Kyler. I like what the Cardinals have done the last couple of weeks. The LA Rams. You know, I think the Rams are going to win some games. I think they're going to get better now that they're healthier. But based on other teams, I still think I'm going to put them in mid. I think the Rams are going to be a 7-9 win team and just miss out on the playoffs this year. I think they got themselves in too deep of a hole early on. The NFC has a lot of good teams. and I don't know if they're going to be able to recover enough to make the playoffs at the end of the day. So I've got the Rams mid. Seattle Seahawks mid. I think the Seahawks are going to end up being a 7 to 8 win team, missing the playoffs. I think they're good enough to beat the bad teams. I don't think they are good enough to beat consistently the really good teams. I think the Seahawks are mid, and they just missed the playoffs. So the NFC West, a whole lot of mid, and then I've got the 49ers as a playoff team. Let's go to the AFC West with the Denver Broncos, who are 5-3 right now, but their schedule gets tougher. I got the Broncos as mid as well. I got the Broncos mid, just missing out on the playoffs. I just don't buy the Broncos. I like Bo Nix. I think he is getting better. I'm excited about him for them, but I don't think the Broncos are a playoff team this year. I just don't. I think the Broncos are just going to be at 8-9 and have good building blocks to go into next year. The Chargers, you know what? I think the Chargers right now are a playoff team. I think the Chargers, because the AFC is so bad and those last two spots in the AFC playoffs feel wide open, I think the Chargers are going to be good enough to grab one of them and be a first-round exit in the playoffs. I think Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh will be enough to get them there. J.K. Dobbins playing well. I think the Chargers will grab maybe the 7 seed by default and then just get knocked out in the playoffs. The Chiefs, obviously, you have to put them as a Super Bowl contender. They're 7-0. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, now D-Hop. I mean, the Chiefs, as long as those guys are there, Mahomes and Andy Reid, they are absolutely a Super Bowl contender. I don't care how bad, quote unquote, they look. The Raiders are top 5 draft pick team. I think the Raiders are one of those top 5 draft pick teams. They're just terrible. They don't have much good going on at all except for Crosby and Bowers, who's playing well. But I think the Raiders are going to be picking in the top 5. Washington Commanders going to the NFC East. I think the Commanders are a playoff team. Commanders are a playoff team. Whether it's winning the NFC East or even if they're a high wild card team, I think the Commanders are absolutely a playoff team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender because they're just, Jaden Daniels' rookie year, Dan Quinn's first year as head coach, that feels a little too good to be true. But I absolutely believe the Commanders are a playoff team. The Giants, I think, are a top 10 draft pick. Not bad enough to be a top 5, but I do think the Giants will be picking in the top 10 of the draft. Just outside of Malik Neighbors, not a whole lot going for them. They're kind of lost at quarterback. The Cowboys, mid. The Cowboys are just, they're going to be picking somewhere in the teens in the draft. I just don't think the Cowboys. I got 7-10, 8-9 for them, missing the playoffs. The Eagles, some of you are going to disagree with this. I think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. I think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. Why? Because they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and almost won with Jalen Hurts, with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Nick Sirianni, who I don't think is that good of a coach. But now they got Saquon Barkley, who's playing well. People are sleeping on them because I get it. Everybody's excited about the Commanders. They're excited about the Lions. They're excited about the Packers. I get it. But I think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. I think they are a sleeper Super Bowl contending team. Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are also a Super Bowl contender. Josh Allen just playing at such an unbelievable level. Now they've got Amari Cooper in there. They're just, I have to believe. And I didn't think the Bills would be a Super Bowl contender this year, but I think they are. The Bills are definitely in contention for that. The Patriots, top 5 draft pick team. They're one of the 5 that I think will be picking in the top 5 of the draft. Just, I don't know how Drake May's got a concussion, so he'll probably come back at some point. They just don't have a lot of talent on this team. First-year head coach. I think the Patriots will be picking in the top 5. Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are a top 10 draft pick team. Very disappointing year for them. I think they will win a few games. Because of Tyreek Hill and Tua being back, they are better with them. But I think the Dolphins ultimately will be picking in the top 10. I think they're just in too deep of a hole. Speaking of top 10 draft pick, I think the Jets are also going to be a top 10 draft pick team. Biggest disappointment in the league. Fans just got to be devastated with how things have turned out for them. I think the Jets will be a top 10 draft pick team come April. The Bears, I wrestled with this one, but I think I'm going to put Bears in mid, meaning I think the Bears are just going to miss the playoffs this year. Headed in the right direction. Reason for optimism going forward. But I think the Bears are just going to miss the cut this year. Detroit Lions, Super Bowl contender. Super Bowl contender, absolutely. I mean, this just feels like the year. This feels like the year for the Detroit Lions. So, nothing more needs to be said there. Green Bay, got them as a Super Bowl contender as well, if Jordan Love can stay healthy. And if he can cut back on the turnovers, I think the Packers are absolutely a Super Bowl contender as well. That NFC North ain't no joke. I got 2 Super Bowl contenders from one division. You don't see that a whole lot. But I think the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. The Vikings wrestled with this one, but I think the Vikings are a playoff team. I think the Vikings are a playoff team. I think they're going to be a first-round exit, but I do think their defense is good enough. Sam Darnold's playing well enough. Obviously, Justin Jefferson and all the weapons they have. I think the Vikings are a playoff team, but I think they are a first-round exit playoff team. I just don't trust Sam Darnold to actually win a playoff game. But I think the Vikings are a playoff team. The Bengals, I've tried to hold. I mean, for those of you that remember, I had the Bengals. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC this year. I think that was absolutely dead wrong. I think the Bengals are going to miss the playoffs. I've got the Bengals in the mid category. I think the Bengals are just going to miss out. And, I hate it because I think Burrow's in his prime, but they just don't have a good team. Good enough team, I should say. Baltimore Ravens, as bad as I hate it, they are Super Bowl contenders. Even though they lost this past Sunday to the Browns, I still think the Ravens are Super Bowl contenders. I think they have the talent to get there, especially I think this trade they just made is going to be a huge deal for them down the stretch. Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. The Steelers, I think the Steelers are absolutely a playoff team. In this AFC, I think the Steelers are just about a shoe-in to be a playoff team, and kudos to them. And who knows, because Russell Wilson has experience in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin obviously has experience. So when you've got a quarterback and head coach that are that experienced, that can help you. So the Steelers might win 1 or 2 playoff games, but I absolutely think the Steelers are undoubtedly a playoff team this year, and I didn't think they would be originally. The Browns, I think the Browns are still a top 10 draft pick. I know people are excited about Jameis and what he did, but down the stretch, I think the Browns, having to play the Steelers and the Ravens, having to play the Ravens again, I think the Browns will still be picking in the top 10 of the draft, in my opinion. Tampa Bay, I would have had the Bucs as a playoff team a couple of weeks ago, but with the injuries, I think I got to put the Bucs into the mid category, just missing out on the playoffs. NFC is just going to have too many teams vying for those spots, and I think the Bucs, with those injuries, Chris Godwin not coming back, Mike Evans, it might be a while, I think the Bucs are just going to have a hard time making the playoffs. Again, 2 weeks ago, I would have picked them. The Panthers, absolutely a top 5 draft pick. Probably number 1. The Panthers, I think you won't find many people to argue with this one. They're just terrible. Easy pick there. The Saints, I think they are a top 5 draft pick as well. I think the Saints are going to be picking in the top 5. With them especially, even though they'll get Derek Carr back and maybe win a game or 2, I just think the Saints are just horrible. The Falcons, absolutely a playoff team. I'm not willing to put them as a Super Bowl contender right now because I don't trust their defense. But the Falcons are easily a playoff team because they should absolutely win that division. The Bucs could have given them a run for their money, but with the injuries, I don't think they will. So that division feels gift-wrapped for the Falcons. Now we get to the AFC South. Houston Texans, I've got them as a playoff team. I do not think the Texans are a Super Bowl contender. I just don't see it. I see a lot more inconsistent. I know they're 6-2. They beat the Bills, yes. I just see down the stretch a lot more inconsistencies with them. When you look at the AFC, I just trust the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens to get to the Super Bowl a heck of a lot more than I trust the Texans. So I think the Texans are a playoff team. Could even see the Texans getting as far as the AFC Championship game, but I don't think the Texans are a Super Bowl contender, especially with the injuries they've had now. The Colts, some of you are going to flip out. But I think the Colts are a playoff team. Let me explain. I bought into the hopes and dreams, maybe. I think the Colts are a playoff team because I do think Joe Flacco could get them to 9 or 10 wins. I think that will be enough to grab the 7 seed. Who else? Ultimately, down the stretch, I do think the Colts have a better roster than the Broncos. And who else is there? The Jets are terrible. The Dolphins are terrible. The Bengals are bad. The Patriots, the Raiders are horrible. So somebody's got to get that 7 seed. And this is part of the reason that a lot of Colts fans are mad because yeah, they feel like Joe Flacco probably can sneak them into the playoffs, but they're going to be a first-round exit, and you've benched the guy that was supposed to be your future, and what do you have to show for it? A wild card playoff loss, probably getting killed by Buffalo or something like that. So I do think the Colts are a playoff team with Joe Flacco because of how bad the AFC is and because Joe Flacco's played well for them when he's been in, but I think they are a first-round exit. Jacksonville Jaguars. I've got the Jags and the Titans left. And you notice I have one spot left for a top 10 draft pick and one spot left for a top 5 draft pick. At the end of the day, I think the Jags are a top 10 draft pick and the Titans are top 5. I think the Jags, who have 2 wins. I think Trevor Lawrence, if Brian Thomas comes back at some point, I think they can get to 5-ish wins to get them to the top 5. And right now, with the way the Titans look, with all of the issues they have, I think the Titans are a top 5 draft pick team. So, Super Bowl contenders: Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Packers, and Ravens. Playoff teams: 49ers, Chargers, Commanders, Vikings, Steelers, Falcons, Texans, and Colts. The Joe Flacco Colts. Mid teams that are just going to miss the cut: Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, Broncos, Cowboys, Bears, Bengals, and Bucks. Top 10 draft pick: Giants, Dolphins, Jets, Browns, Jags. Top 5 draft pick: Raiders, Patriots, Panthers, Saints, and the home team, the Tennessee Titans. That is my tier rank for every NFL team at the halfway point this season. Let me know if you disagree in the comments below. Let's make some picks for this weekend, and I will, of course, save the Titans for last. And then it's time for me to get to moving. We got to get some stuff packed to the other house. Tonight, Thursday night, Texans, Jets. I got the Texans. I just think the Jets are a disaster. I think the fans are unhappy. I think the Boo Birds could come out in this one pretty quick. I think the Texans win this one by a couple scores. Dolphins, Bills on Sunday. Dolphins are trying to recover. Having Tua back, they're trying to, make that push, but it ain't happening this Sunday. The Bills in Buffalo. I got the Bills easily. Broncos, Ravens. Both of these teams are 5-3, and it doesn't feel like it. I got the Ravens. This could be an opportunity for the Broncos to show that they are some semblance of for real. But I've got the Ravens beating the Broncos at home, coming off of the loss. And I don't know. I mean, tonight's game, Thursday night, the Jets are favored by 2.5 points. I have to believe it's A, because they're at home, and B, because of the injuries for the Texans. Like I said, Stephon Diggs tore his ACL. Nico Collins, I think, is still out. So, that's, I guess, why. Got the Ravens over the Broncos. Chargers, Browns. Can Jameis do it again? I'm going to say no. I got the Chargers. I got the Chargers winning this one. I think it'll be low scoring. I think it'll be a boring game, but I got the Chargers. Saints, Panthers. In Carolina. And this is going to be an important game in terms of the draft. I mean, because both of these teams, as I said, I think they'll both be in the top 5. You know what? I'm going with the Panthers. I'm going with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers to pick up the win. In Carolina, Saints with what, Spencer Rattler or Hayner. I got the Panthers. Raiders, Bengals. Bengals have to get on track. And they're at home against a terrible Raiders team. Give me the Bengals all the way. Commanders, Giants. I mean, I think the Commanders just keep this thing on rolling. I mean, playing a bad Giants team after that momentum they're going to have after that Hail Mary. Yeah, give me the Commanders. Cowboys, Falcons. Cowboys are on life support. They're playing on the road where they are better than they are at home. But I'm still going to go with the Falcons. The Falcons, they need to get over the hump. And opportunity to create more separation between them and the rest of their division. I think the Falcons beat the Cowboys. Bears, Cardinals. Arizona, can they keep it rolling? I'm going to say Chicago. I'm going to go with the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be so angry at the way that they lost. I think the Bears are going to be so angry about how things went. I think they're going to come out and they are going to take it out on the Cardinals. I got the Bears. Chris asked, what happened to the setup? I'm in the process of moving. So this is probably the last thing I will ever film at this house because I am moving to a new house. So we've got everything kind of torn down. Jags, Eagles. I got the Eagles. I think the Eagles are rolling. I think they're kind of flying under the radar, but they're at home. The Jaguars with no Christian Kirk, with no Brian Thomas. I think it's going to be a tough day. I got the Eagles absolutely winning this game. Lions, Packers. Whoo! You want to talk about a big-time game. Lions, Packers in Green Bay. Jordan Love, I don't know what his status is, but I think he's going to play. I'm going to go with Detroit. I'm going to go with the Lions because I do think ultimately that they're better. Jordan Love's injuries with his turnovers. I'm going to go with the Lions, but it's going to be good. That's going to be a good game. I got Detroit. Rams, Seahawks. I'm going with the Rams. I think the Rams are going to win their third straight. I think Seattle's just kind of, at this point, with the Rams getting all their guys back, yes, I think the Rams are a better team than the Seahawks. Give me the Rams on the road. Colts, Vikings on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Vikings in Minnesota. They've lost a couple in a row. They need to get back on track. The Colts feel like they are in big-time turmoil right now. Players don't seem happy. Coaches don't know what to say. Anthony Richardson benched. I'm going with the Vikings. And then on Monday night, it's the Bucs and the Chiefs. A couple of weeks ago, this would have been a very interesting game, but as it is right now, I'm just going with the Chiefs to get to 8-0. I think the at home on Monday night, the Bucs with all the receivers out, going with the Chiefs. And last but not least, Titans, Patriots. What did we talk about in this episode? We are bringing the Tennessee Titans positivity today. Looking on the bright side. And you know what? I got the Titans. I got the Tennessee Titans winning this game at home after 2 weeks of playing the two best teams in the NFL. I have a spider? I said I have a spider. If the spider was big enough for you to see it on the screen, that worries me. I'm moving anyway. So, anyway, I think the Titans, after playing the two best teams in the NFL on the road these last 2 weeks, I think they come home, catch their breath. They're playing a team that's more on their level. I think it'll be close. 16-13, something crazy like that, a Nick Folk field goal to win at the end. I think Will Levis will have an interception. He'll do his stupid crap, but I think he will keep the boat afloat enough. And I think the Titans get win number 2 this Sunday against the Patriots. And I'm not just saying it just to say it. I'm not just saying it just to pick the home team. I have adamantly picked the Titans' opponents these last few weeks. But I am picking the Titans to beat the Patriots on Sunday. What do you think? Do you even want the Titans to win? Let me know in the comments below. This is the last Two-Tone Talk in this location. We will be at the new place, hopefully on Monday, to talk about whatever happens on Sunday. God bless you, everybody. Tighten up. This is the Two-Tone Talk by God Pod. We're staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Tighten up, everybody. Goodbye.